So, hi everyone. If you are watching the replay, welcome. We love that you're here too, and you can always put in comments even if you're watching the replay. And for you who are showing up live, this is our new moon in Aquarius workshop or workshop. I don't know. We have soul conversations is what we have, and hope to inspire you to have these soul conversations with yourself and with others to go deeper into yourself. So let's see here. Let's start. Oh, do you want to say something? Hi, Tyler.
Hey, so I'm just curious about Aquarius, right? It's obviously a water sign because it has
Nope.
aqua. It's not? Wait a
No,
minute. Aquarius is not a water sign.
no. It's the water bearer, but it's not. So common misconception. Aquarius is an air sign, along with Libra and Gemini.
How did that work? Because it's like literally aqua is in the name. Aquarius.
Yes, and I'm gonna let you figure
You're gonna
that
let
out.
that hang.
I
Okay.
don't know. I feel like I've read somehow how it works, like why it's the water bearer, but I don't remember the why that name was assigned like that. But I will tell you about Aquarius, and then you'll understand, and everyone else, why it is an air sign. Does that sound
So
good?
wait, I did Google this.
Okay.
It is one of the most ubiquitous, albeit innocuous errors that Aquarius is a water sign. There's confusion because aqua is in the prefix, but once you get to know the sign, it becomes strikingly clear that Aquarius is an air sign.
Yes, that's exactly
So
what it
you're
is.
going to help us. You're going to help us figure out why it's an air sign because I have no idea.
Yes. So let's talk about Aquarius. This is an Aquarius new moon, which means that the sun is also obviously in Aquarius. We're in Aquarius season, everyone that has birthdays now. And this is a really big energy, especially right now, because the kind of famous Pluto moving into Aquarius and this cycle that we're in, Pluto changes signs every 18 months. It did happen for a little bit last spring, but this is it. It's going to go. Anyways, I'm going to leave the details of that out. But what this is that Pluto is death and rebirth. It's power, taking your power back. So we have that. It's such a powerhouse of a planet. And now we have this in Aquarius too. And it's a fresh energy for all of us because it just happened a few weeks ago. It will be in Aquarius for whatever it is, 18 years or something like that. And so we're going to get used to that energy, but right now it's fresh for us. And we also have Mercury in Aquarius, which is a player, especially in this new moon. So to say a few things about Aquarius, it is, and what I wanted to say about, because the moon has already moved into Aquarius. The new moon itself is tomorrow, Friday, at right around 3 p.m. Pacific time, which is 6 p.m. Eastern time, is the peak of the new moon or the exact new moon. And it's at almost 21 degrees Aquarius. But the moon is already in Aquarius. So we might have already felt this energy, but we're really in it now. And so the one thing that I wanted to say about today, Thursday, is stay grounded because air signs are up in the head. And so we really have to remind ourselves to ground. And with Aquarius is that it is such a revolutionary, which we'll go into the gene key because this gene key right now at this sun position of Aquarius is all about revolution and rebirth as well. But Aquarius in itself is all about revolution. It is the out of the boxes, like no one can tame Aquarius. And it's very revolutionary. So it's new thinking. It does it by thinking, though. So it's like out of the box ideas. And so, and it's not following social norms. That's why Pluto in Aquarius will very likely, create these changes in our culture and our society as well. Hi, lovelies, for that jumping on. We're just getting started with what Aquarius is in this new moon in Aquarius. And so, and with Pluto in Aquarius, is that it's a reform, it's a revolution on so many planes. But it's coming from it's so much a revolutionary way of thinking, and also very rebellious. Like Aquarius is super rebellious. Like you can't put an Aquarius in a box. It just doesn't. It's not thriving there. So you have to be
It's like
all
baby,
out.
right? You can't put baby in a corner. You can't put Aquarius in a box.
Yes. I would say it's a little bit more than putting baby in a corner, but yes, no, actually it is kind of a good, she is rebelling from her, her upbringing and her societal, yeah, and you haven't seen the movie, so
But I know enough. I know enough that you don't put baby in a corner. Nobody
I
puts
know.
baby in a corner.
Yes, exactly. And
You
you have
can't put Aquarius. You can't put Aquarius in a box.
no, and that's why we can't put you in a box, because you have several Aquarius placement. So you're going to rebel, and you're going to do all these things. You're going to push against the status quo, and in culture and society within ourselves too. So it's a very revolutionary. It's a freedom sign. So we're all in this period now of freedom, and because of that, it's rebirth. So that we can open up this energy within ourselves to see where are our limitations emotionally, mentally, all the ways, and culturally, our conditioning and all of that. So we're all in this time that is getting boosted by Pluto and Aquarius and Mercury, and in just the next week, both Venus and Mars is going to move into Aquarius too. So we have all this like surge of Aquarius energy. So what I wanted to say here, because Pluto is here, give yourself time to digest. Pluto is no BS survives a Pluto transit. Okay, so it's important here that you ground, and that you take time to digest what is coming up right now, because a new moon is that, like, it's the new excitement is planting new seeds and all of that. But it's also about being in Aquarius, is that clarity. Okay, with this Pluto energy coming, reforming and revolutionary everything, it's like, okay, so what has to go right now, and what do I want to take action on, which is what we're going to talk about in the Gene Key as well. And what is it that needs to shift? So with this new moon, I encourage all of you to really sit. As I said, the moon is already in Aquarius today and tomorrow. Make sure that you ground, so your mind doesn't spiral, because that's the air sign of it, because it's so many things, right, and new ideas. But if you can't like do anything, then Aquarius can get frustrated as well. We have to allow it to take time. That's how true change happens. And so what I wanted to say too, with this new moon, we have a few things happening. For one, even if I just said digest, it is squaring Uranus and Taurus. And so these are both fixed signs, Aquarius and Taurus, and Scorpio and Leo. You might feel it a little bit more intensely. And Uranus is all about unexpected. It is about revolution. It is about quick changes. So just sit with it, so that you don't get caught up in any drama of things, but just see that, okay, if you ground yourself and sit with this, you can move if there is any unexpected changes and shifts that are happening right now, because they're happening for us, for you. And so that is one thing. And then I also, you also have to be grounded, because it's a square, right? So a square can be uncomfortable. So it's like, okay, there's a big shift right in our face, maybe, but it's a new moon. So it's also about like trusting, okay, is this what I want to move with? Because there is so much potential of something new coming into your life and a shift, but you have to be able to emotionally stable to be able to shift with it and stay grounded and trusting yourself in this. The last thing I wanted to say here is that we have Mercury, as I said, also in Aquarius. Mercury is all about the mind, how we think, our mindset, and also communication, which we're going to talk about so much in the Gene Key. And Mercury is squaring Jupiter in Taurus. Again, we have the fixed sign, Aquarius, Taurus, Leo, and Scorpio, that might feel it even more so. And Mercury squaring Jupiter. Jupiter is a benefic, so it's not necessarily a hard aspect just because it's a square, which it would normally be. But Jupiter is all about expansion. And yes, if you're someone that has a hard time with expansion, it might trigger things within you. But what I wanted to say with everyone here with Mercury and Jupiter is this is about believing. Remember, Mercury's mindset. So it's all about daring to believe this freedom, these huge ideas that Aquarius is about. Believe that it can happen and it will happen. You can make it happen with the steps you take. So this is grounding into your confidence and taking those steps to those big ideas. It's Aquarius is all about, all the way into the next galaxy that I always talk about, when to dream big, dream the impossible dreams. So because it's a square, you might come up against that, oh, this is not possible, because you're going like your mind, everything is going big. And then the conditioning, the limitation might tell you, this is too good to be true. This is not possible. So that's where you get to sit with that and lift that cap so that you can completely tuning into, start believing in yourself and that expansion that Jupiter holds. So this is like, it's really about unlocking new paradigms. We're creating legacy here. All of us are coming from Capricorn season, and all of this coming from Pluto and Capricorn. We're creating new legacy, new paradigms. So allow it to take time and shift with it when it comes. When blessings come in, shift with it and trust yourself, and the universe has your best interest always.
That's really interesting. Especially when if I bring in Kabbalah and I bring in some of the Jewish mysticism to it. We talked at the last Gene Key conversation about Tu B'Shvat and the New Year for trees. And so the second part of this cycle has been about these new trees taking roots. And then we come into this new moon. And in Judaism, the next it's a leap year. So we have a double month. It's a double moon cycle that's all about celebration. And so it's about letting the tree kind of like starting to see the fruit come off the tree, and really letting things unfold. So it's the Jewish month of Adar. If anybody's familiar with the story of Esther and Mordecai and the king and Haman, it really was a chance for trust, because the doom was there. And everybody was concerned about the doom, but you have this heroine, Esther, who just trusted and approached the king and said, your second in command is going to kill my people, and ended up saving all of her people. And so it's just this courage and this trust that what is unfolding is meant to unfold. Even if it looks dark, even if it looks like this is not going the way we want it to, that we are entering a time of double celebration. And that's just really exciting as we finish out. In Judaism, these are the last 2 months of our calendar year. So we start our calendar year in 3 moon cycles. And so these are the last 2 cycles of the year. So it's really interesting that this is a beginning and an ending. It's almost a 3-month period where we kind of have this crossover. And it sounds like that aligns a lot with the things you're talking about astrologically.
Yep. Yes. I love it. And that, to me, when you say that the celebration, it's a time of celebration, that is believing that Jupiter aspect, believing the Aquarius that is here to reform, to revolutionize, to change, to transform. And Aquarius is a very humanitarian services sign on a big global level, but we all obviously have to do it within ourselves first, free ourselves first. And I love, as I said, when you say that about celebration, this is about daring to expand, daring to believe what this Mercury Jupiter square is right now. It's not always at the Aquarius new moon, but right now it's about daring to believe that the most amazing things that you dream about is possible. So that's how we manifest, right? We start to celebrate, we start to feeling that it's already here. And that's how we fully know that we're worthy as well of it. And that's a journey, in itself. But when we can focus on the celebration of not only what is to come, because we can celebrate what is to come, obviously, but life happens here and now. That celebration to me feels like if we can celebrate, we essentially we're celebrating our ability to create what it is to come, but the creation is happening now.
Right. Well, I think the idea is we are celebrating because our work is done. So like in the Jewish calendar, these 2 months, all of the work we've been doing since last Passover, the freedom, because Passover is what's coming next after the celebration, as we kind of start all over. We're back in slavery and we need to be free from our slavery. I mean, it's a new level. Every year we cycle and we spin up. And as we get free and we find liberation, we uncover new areas that we're stuck in. And it's just this constant growth and development. So the idea of the next 2 months is there's nothing left to do. It's all done. And so we can celebrate that there's no more strategy. There's no more like trying to figure this all out. It's not about like a problem that needs to be solved. And you and I have been talking about this, but there is no problem. It just is. And it's already rooting. We just have to get out of the way in a sense and let things unfold and try not to muck it up.
Yep. We evolve through pure love. It's a mantra that I have everywhere here at the moment. That is no more challenges to dig into necessarily, especially, we've done our work. That's always the truth in one way, because what I'm hearing there is about trusting
Right.
ourselves, trusting the universe, trusting the flow. Yeah, big time. All right. And if anyone has any questions or any comments, how you're feeling in this today, what's coming up for you, let us know if you want to share anything. We will go into the Gene Key.
Sure.
So first I wanted to say, so this Gene Key, as always, we've done a few of these now, the sun position of the Gene Key, and that's the conversation that we have. It's this Gene Key got activated last night here in the US, and it will continue through sometimes the 13th. So it's always 5-6 days. And if you are into astrology, you can look up, if you have any placements in Aquarius, about 19 degrees to 24.5 degrees. That's where the sun is right now. So if you have any other planets, or if your birthday is right now, then that will be extra. Those planets will be extra activated for you, just to kind of, put it that
So
way.
are you saying so Kristina, I have two kids with birthdays coming up, one on Sunday and one next week on the 14th. You're saying over the next couple days they could be a little more rebellious and a little more free than usual. Should I come to expect that as a parent? Is that going to be my reality?
Well, they're always, because they're both Aquarius, right? And I won't say names, but so Sunday, that he is this Gene Key and in his life work. Wednesday is another Gene Key, so it's going to be another life work there. But what they're going through, it's a solar return, so they're starting their whole like new solar cycle, and that's governed by a different house than the house before. So like there is so much shifting and changing within them, and we can go deep into astrology of that. But they are rebellious as they are. They have to. They can't be put in a box. Yeah.
We have a question in the chat. So about sleep being disrupted during this time. They had their birthday yesterday. Is this a time for those
happy
energies?
Birthday.
You had mentioned earlier about things kind of needing to stay grounded. I would imagine if your energy is in the sky and you're kind of like, woo, like sleep might be a challenge, I would think, and needing to ground ourselves before we go to bed at night might be super critical.
Yes, yeah, because it's an air sign, Aquarius air sign. So it's definitely, and as I said, especially birthday yesterday. So this is you're feeling that too. So you're also going through your solar return and all of that. And then all this Aquarius energy for everyone. As I said, there's several planets in Aquarius are going to be even more so next week. So yes, ground. And it's also, so Aquarius also, it's a fixed sign, which is very interesting because it's all about revolutionary ideas, but a fixed sign is not always the flowing signs. It's a fixed energy. So at the same time, Aquarius is very loyal. And so with this, I would say, let me feel into this. Aquarius too, I'm just saying in general, the shadow side of Aquarius can be pushing down emotions because it's all in the head. So this is, and being pretty like, can be pretty poker faced, depending on what Aquarius placement, what planets and whatnot. So that's also something to know, to listen to your emotions, so you're not too much here. I would usually for me, full moons are usually more sleep disruptive, because the full moons is a release. So there's a lot of things that are like active in our system to release. That's how I would say in general. But because we have so much, and then you have a birthday, and like there is just such a big, like this shooting off ramp right now. And that's what I said in the beginning too. It's like the digestion part of taking time to digest too, so that you do know what you want to act on as well.
Well, wouldn't it make sense though, Kristina, because you said like that's the normal full moon, but Aquarius is a rebel. So like, wouldn't it make sense that during the new moon for Aquarius, that they might have it a little bit like challenging of that norm of just having it? So it might make sense. Again, listen, people, I am not an expert on astrology. I barely know what quincunx and sextiles and all of this is. But just listening to you, Kristina, I pick up on, Aquarius is the rebel. The new moon for Aquarius might be what full moon is for everybody else.
I love it. Yes.
Look at me. Look at me go. Look at me go.
Knowing your Aquarius placements. Yes. Of course you bring it up. Thank you. Let's see here. The point, been up since 2 a.m. Still have energy. Yep. All right.
Shift to Gene Keys. Are we shifting?
Yes, we're shifting. Do you want to start? Do you want me to do intro? Do you want to do intro?
You are the Gene Key. Again, I'm just here for the ride. I'm just along for the ride. I'm riding your coattails, Kristina. I'm just here to engage. Yes, you go. I will add. You are the Gene Keys expert. I do not want to steal your thunder.
Well, you have so much to say about this Gene Key, but okay, I'll do an introduction. So we have Gene Key 49, as I said, from last night. And Hanan, you might actually be the Gene Key earlier, depending on your birth. You're right at the cusp. This Gene Key was activated last night, so it depends on when your birth time is. I forget. I believe you gave me that to me, maybe. Did you? Anyways, so you might be a different life work, but this is Gene Key 49. And so we go in Gene Key 49, we talk about reaction in the shadow space. Through the transformational path is revolution into rebirth. And so just to say a few things about these, how we move through this is about awareness, where we are. The reaction here, we're talking about an emotional reaction and a victim of emotional reactions and needs. That's what we're going to emphasize talking about today, I believe. And because it's needs create expectations, but it's these like emotional needs. What is this within you? What are you attracted to? And then in other people, where is all this stemming from? That's the shadow side where we're in that reaction of it. And because it's also like we're talking about programming, right? It's when we have expectations because of a mindset that we might have that might not even be ours to start with, but we've gotten it because of how we've grown up or because of, religious, societal, cultural things. Then we base our reality on that. So then we end up having expectations that will fit our reality. So how we blow this up, blow those limitations up, is that allowing ourselves to, this is what I talk about all the time when I say course correcting the mind. For some of you that have been in my group for a long time and done workshops with me, that we've talked a lot about this, because the mind will go there and it's based on emotions, or the emotions will trigger something. Like it's the mind and the emotions, how they work together. And it's beautiful that in my Gene Key membership, we're just coming into this heart versus mind balance, and it's all about balance between your emotions and your mind. They both are really important, obviously, but we have to have a balance within them. So it's important for us to be aware of, where do we even expect the negative things or expect the challenging things to happen in our life? And because of usually it's because of what we have experienced before, but that's where we get to course correct our mind. That's how we create a different reality, when we can be aware of those expectations of things that we don't want. And the mind is really good at rationalize, but this and this and this always happens when I do this. Yes, and your mind is not you. Your mind doesn't have to steer your life. If you will let it, it will, and you will keep creating the same experiences. But if you want to create a different experience, or AKA, sorry, living your dream, then you have to create a different experience, a different expectation in your mind. And that's how we're moving into revolution. The thing that I want to say with that too is that it's also, in the shadow space, this can be a need for certainty. And that's where most of humanity trips ourselves up, because that's where the mind control, we want to know what's going to happen if we take this step, for example. Hi, Lovely's jumping on. And that's not where we grow. And that's not how we experience something different. We have to allow ourselves to be in uncertainty. We have to take those big leaps. That's what is going to cause a revolution within us and in our life, and what's going to cause the rebirth that we're looking for if we want to create a different life than we currently have. So this is about emotional intelligence, to be aware of those reactions, to instead learn to respond. Obviously, if you want to dive deeper in it, this is your EQ. How do you respond to emotional reactions and needs and flares and all of that, instead of reacting to it? And having filters on that. That's kind of going into the gift a little bit, but filtering out, what are you just reacting, or can you instead have the filter also on yourself to sit with whatever you're reacting with and discern, okay, this is, again, bringing it back to like kind of taking the sting out of a reaction, so that you can learn that non-judgmentally respond to whatever's within you or reflected for you.
Well, and I think too, like for me, in learning about this for myself, is this idea of space. And I think this is where, like in Tibetan Tantra, and even as you talk astrology, right? We're talking about Aquarius. It's how do we create the space within to not react, but to reflect on why. Why am I having this visceral reaction that wants to take action? Because the action will sometimes get us into trouble. And what I love about Richard's buttery voice is, talking about when we get down to our needs, what are the essential needs and what maybe not be so essential, and asking ourselves, okay, what is this need? Because I spent a period of my life when I was like, okay, I recognize my expectations set me up for disappointment. I don't want to be disappointed, so I'm going to get rid of all expectations. I have no expectations. And that was a very safe way to engage, right? No expectations means you can't be disappointed. That's not very fulfilling either. So it's this idea of how do we set expectations in a way that allow for the wide range of human experiences, because that is why we are here. That is the revolution within us, is to go from this feeling safe and secure and grabbing on these moments, either in our past or in our future, that we are holding on to. That when they get taken away from us or they get pushed against, we unfold and unravel in a way that we react and we do things that don't serve the direction we want our lives to go in. Instead, saying, okay, why am I reacting right now? I feel safe with who I am, but for some reason I'm not feeling safe in this moment. Why? Why am I, and where is that coming from? And what are those needs? I have food, I have clothing, I have shelter. I don't know where that's going to come a month from now. okay, am I living a month from now or I'm living in this moment? I have a choice in that. And so I need to respond, because if I act as if I need food, clothing, and shelter, in this moment, I may make decisions that hurt me when it comes to a month from now. Versus if I can say, nope, I'm safe. I don't need to make some of these decisions right now. And so I love the idea of really looking at what is it we truly need as an individual. And then what I love is when he talks about the collective and how we are a part of the collective and the collective needs. And and he said something that was really hard is that as this consciousness shifts, because it's shifting, there are going to be people who don't want to join along. And he talked about letting that go, because right, there's something in us like, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. And he's like, it's not their time. He's like, they'll have other chances. This is not the only time. And I think we get locked into this linear space time where this is it. Like it's all or nothing, instead of this is just the next iteration of the cycle. And that takes a lot of pressure off of that desire. And so we do not react out of fear, out of greed, out of these things that kind of hold us back, but that we can shift. And I think it's beautiful as you're discussing the Aquarius timing and all of the shifts that are happening. It's like perfection right now of everything we're navigating.
Yeah, and what I thought about when you said that too, to bring it back to, yes, we're talking about the collective, but to bring it back home to our personal lives, this is about, and we talk about this so much, it's about self-sovereignty. We especially our loved ones, our closest ones, whatever that is, family, friends, partners, uh, children, we want to so much for them. And that's often the way I, with my work and with my clients, so much of that, and myself, it's a part of people pleasing, right? So we want so much for someone else, and we just want to lift them up, and we want them to be there. So we end up holding them, and we're holding them, and we're holding them. But the thing is that you're not doing anyone, of course we can support, but holding energy for someone else and keep doing it for a long time, you're not helping them, because you're not actually, especially this is, with our family, our really close ones, we're not essentially helping them, because they never get the chance to understand or learn what it is to be sovereign, what it is to take responsibility for their own reactions, for their own emotions, for their own programming. So as much as we want, as well meaning as we are in helping humanity and our loved ones to evolve and find peace and find home within themselves, that is not, just like you said, that's not, we get to allow and trust universal timing. As human beings, we're so easily to like, well, but this, we want to control things, that we can become hubris in terms of thinking that we have the answers instead of the universe has the answers and the path and the timing of things. So yeah, that's what I was thinking about, that I think will land with many people. Let me know in the chat if that lands or
Yeah,
how
and I
that
think
is for you.
and I think not only within ourselves, in our relationships. You've kind of mentioned that, is what are my needs as a person, right? I have needs, but then in a relationship, you and I were talking about this morning, are what are the relational needs we have with my kids, with a romantic partner, with parents, with friends, and having not really dug into that a whole lot about, I have my own personal needs. Like when I'm on my own, I can maintain that. And again, Richard said, he's like, we are afraid of losing our individuality as we create and come into this collectiveness. But in a sense, the wholeness creates more of that individuality for us, is because we get to decide what that relationship looks like. But if we never think about it, then we're not consciously defining it. And we end up losing ourselves in these relationships, because there is no me, there's only us. No, there is an us, there is a me, there is a you. How do we play in all of those fields together, to where you don't have to be somebody you're not, I don't have to be somebody I'm not, but who we are, we bring to the table what we want. And that works with our kids, it works with our colleagues at work, it works with the people we supervise. Like, I don't need the staff I supervise to be like me. They get to be themselves. And at work, I have needs from them. I need certain things, and there needs to be certain things that happen, and that we get to define what that looks like. And so I think that was really something for me this morning, is realizing, in my relationships, what are my needs? What do I need in a relationship? And, I boiled it down to about 8 different things for me. And I think safety is one of them, right? In a relationship, safety is one of those needs. If we're not feeling safe, my kids are not feeling safe with me, then there is going to be a reaction, right? The reaction's going to happen. But for us to prioritize safety is going to create a revolution in that relationship. So if they've never felt safe, but now all of a sudden safety becomes a focus, the relationship changes. I
Yeah,
know.
emotional safety is what we like. It's yeah. I just wanted to add that, like,
Yeah.
the emotional safety is the key here. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, but for some people, it could be physical safety, right? Like, I
Yeah,
mean,
for sure.
in relationships, and even as a man navigating this universe, recognizing that women don't necessarily feel physically safe with me because of my masculinity, because as a man, if I, we've talked about, you and I've talked about this. If I go out with a woman, I'm not worried about my safety. That is not something that I'm conscious of. A lot of women that I talk to on their first dates, they've got their text set up. If you don't hear from me in the first 30 minutes, send the police, kind of thing. Like, there's a reality to this idea of physical safety and the male form, because my people have not done a good job creating physical safety or emotional safety or spiritual safety. And so I also do want to put that out there, that we have some responsibility, especially as men, to focus on that need for safety in a relationship in all of those dimensions. Um, I think the idea of autonomy, there is a need in a relationship, that I have autonomy and sovereignty, and you have autonomy and sovereignty. My kid has autonomy, and they have to recognize, as my kids, if I don't do my job as a parent, the society is not going to take kindly to that. So the autonomy is a little different. My kid, if they don't have the autonomy to eat ice cream for dinner every night, that would be nice. But as a father, I have more responsibility and agency to do that. And just quickly, I think some of the other needs for me in a relationship are joy. I need joy in my relationships. If it feels like going to the dentist's office, yeah, that's not going to be fun for a relationship. Creativity is a need in a relationship. Friendship, play. There needs to be play in a relationship. It can't just be heady. As much as I love heady conversations, it can't just be heady. There needs to be playfulness, and then connection. Right? If all I do is spend time on my phone with somebody else, that's okay. But I have a connection need that's not going to be fulfilled by just being in a room with somebody. So I think in a relationship, and I think about this with my kids as I spend time with them tonight, how do I meet those needs for them? How do I connect? How do I play? How do I create with them? That's part of this revolution that we are talking about, because when I'm doing those things, I'm going to be less likely to react when they go off.
Yeah. And it's all it's so much resonating with me. For one, because of the EQ that we're in our membership right now, and then also the EQ is Mars, right? The EQ sphere in Gene Keys is represented by Mars, which could be looked at the the Mars is the doer, so it's the masculine. So it's this communication with, the more we unravel our emotional programming and reactions, then, and taking time to see, why am I reacting to this, allowing the emotion, not just conceptualizing it, allowing the emotion. This is all about the emotional intelligence here. And then we can see, okay, this is a reason why, and this is how I can be with it. So it's all about allowing those feelings, not allowing the feelings to overwhelm you, because then you're not objective in that way. But it's really honoring yourself. And what happens when we read deeper into the EQ sphere in everyone's chart, when we start honoring that, we do kind of we unleash, or we open up to our inner child. So playfulness is a part of that. When the more emotionally intelligent you are in finding that balance between your heart and your head, and can sit with and respond instead of react, then the more playfulness you're gonna feel. It's a when we're not, then we're suppressing our life force energy. And so it's a big part in this, and that's a part of that doer. And if we're talking about also with that, it's so important, right? With the masculine, if we talk about masculine and feminine, which we will do in our course as well, opening the doors to sacred love, it is that sacred love. What is the masculine? What is the doer? And what is the being in feminine and masculine, if we're just saying a couple words about it. But if the doer gets to be so much just in doing mode and in agenda mode, then there's no play to that. So then there's no listening, there's no communication. And that's exactly where we kind of end up in what we talked about a little while ago of, it's important that we are one and one, that we don't disappear in the relationship. And same within us, that there is this piece and there is this piece, and they need to not only communicate, but the one and plus one, when they are whole and can wholly communicate, then it becomes the three. It becomes something more. But if one disappear into the other, or don't have those boundaries, then there's not going to be that more. The uniqueness, hello Aquarius, so unique. The uniqueness is needed, and that's what creates beauty, which is all about this gene key as well. We also need not just the the needs for the whatever things to survive. We need beauty, we need sunshine, we need calm within us. Those are also needs that in this society we tend to suppress more. So it's so much, and he talks about this three, that's how we get to rebirth in the collective and within ourselves and in our personal relationships as well. And so I'm going to put in just there, if you haven't joined yet, it is time to join. We start on Monday, and this is exactly what we're doing. We get to know the masculine part, we get to know the feminine part, and we talk about the union, because that it's so easy to be within us. I know this from experience. I mean, this has been me for the most part of my life. Like, okay, getting to know this part, getting to know this part. And then it came to a point about a month ago, I don't even know time anymore, but where Tyler helped me realize where there wasn't that communication in the work that we did. And that's a part of what we're going to bring to you in this course. It's revolutionary for within yourself and learning that communication, and it's going to have ripple effect really fast in your relationships as well. So if you're not in it, join us. Yeah.
Not to give away too much from the course, I think for me, this gene key specifically, without even realizing it, the rebirth for me was as a man. I had grown up most of my life living in my feminine and feeling very feminine. And you and I've talked, like, a lot of people for a long time thought I was gay because I was so feminine and comfortable with my femininity. And I'm like, but I'm not. I just didn't know how to be a man. And then I shifted over towards having to feel like I had to be masculine all the time. The shift for me, the rebirth, was this unity between the two. And so for me, I understood that they're not disconnected from one another. That for me, the strength comes from showing you my feminine and saying, I'm comfortable in my femininity, and here's my masculinity backing her up. And that I can be and I talk about this all the time, I can be an ocean for your masculinity to sail on. And then when the storms get rough, I can shift into my masculine and say, bring the storm. I can handle it. My feminine's back here with compassion, and I don't need to fix you. I can just be here and let the storm come. And then when the storm subsides, whoop, I'm back into my feminine. And so it's it's so interesting to me to be as clear of who I am and whole at the same time. And that was the rebirth for me. And I won't forget, it really was that gene key 54 that connected to all of this. But it was just this idea of I can be both and that gives me more. I'm playing with almost a full deck. I get to play with all 52 cards instead of just one suit or one of like red or black. It's like it's the full deck. If I need to play the Ace of Hearts, here's the Ace of Hearts. If I need to play the King of Spades, here's the King of Spades. And I can play all of those cards and know that they're all interconnected with each other. And I think that's this idea of rebirth. And I know there will be more rebirths to come for me. It's not done. It's not like I'm all done growing. It's like, no, this is kind of where I'm at this point. So really, again, I cannot encourage people to come into this class because we're going to talk a lot about how do we really get to this place to see, because in order to get to 3, we've got to identify the 1 and the 1 within us. We've got to see where is our masculine within us. And even as women, those of you listening as women, you're operating more in your masculine than you realize because you have to, because the men in your life have failed you. Let's just be real. Your internal masculine has failed you. And so you've had to be shadow masculine to protect yourself. And your feminine has to be shadow. And we're going to talk about all of this. I cannot stress enough to sign up for the course. I'm not going to give away too much more.
Yeah. And it's really about that, like, especially in the society too. And as a woman, like I've been so much in that. And I talk to so many women in general that like, okay, if something's going to get done, I got to do it. Whether we're in a partnership or whatever it is, it's always this like, okay, the doer is so much stronger, and then not trusting that there is someone else that's a part of a it can be both a father wound and a mother wound. It looks a little bit different because if we've had a mother that's very masculine, then that's still like we haven't been shown what relaxing, what femininity is, what being is, and what receiving is.
Well, and I would argue, Kristina, even if you were brought up with a healthy mom and shown what healthy femininity looks like, you probably have gone through life without that being reinforced by most of the men that exist on this planet. My people have not done a good job. And again, you've met me at this point in my life doing the work probably intensely. I've been in therapy every week for the last 4 years. And that's the only reason I'm able to see all of this is because I have an amazing therapist. He's been fantastic with me and helping me unfold this. And I have a female spiritual coach helping me kind of work together. But most of the men in your lives have just been looking for their mommy. And so you're looking for not to be someone's mom, and you meet these men and they put you in this position of be my mommy, be my mommy. And so to be feminine means be a mother. Navigate some dude's emotions for him. Tiptoe around his emotions so you don't set him off. So even under the best of circumstances as a woman, society has not helped you out a whole lot. And you watch movies and television, it's not helpful. And I get it. And so again, I think the work has to be done within. The work, you have to start with your masculine and your feminine working together so that when you come across these, I call them jesters, and you're a queen, that you're not entertaining these jesters in your life because that's what you're used to. And it may be a better jester than what you're used to, but it's still not royalty. It's still not sovereignty. And so how do you live in a way that draws sovereignty and royalty to you instead of entertaining these jesters? Because there's a lot of my people are a lot of jesters.
Yes, a lot of agendas. And like who have a comment here, only now finding my feminine. That was my, that was for the last 3 years after my divorce, but very in a different way the last year. Like I had to just practice, and I just got these signs and flows like from the universe. It's like, hey, be in your feminine, it was just a huge part of me learning to trust that I can be in my feminine and that I'm still taken care of, and that, so it's that internal of like how to hold that space for yourself when you're doing the internal work, which is a part of the communication that we're doing in the course. But that's a big part, finding as women. We're generalizing here, but as women, like that's a big part, finding our feminine, because we're so much used to, because we've had to, and for different reasons and whatnot, being our masculine. So that's the first part. And then coming back to being, well, what is being in a healthy masculine? Because being in a healthy masculine, that's what gets me where I want to go too. But it's the balance and it's the knowing of being in a healthy masculine. So it's not just pushing with the shadow of masculine, just pushing against, not listening to intuition, not listening to the universe, not listening to timing, all of that. So I hear you in that.
And I just had this thought is, in a sense, until we meet a mirror that can help work through this, the universe is our mirror. The universe, like if we're trying to operate in our feminine, trusting the universe to operate in its masculine, the universe will do for us things that we can trust the universe to do. We cannot do the universe's job for the universe. And that kind of brings us back to this gene key, right? Like the universe is going to do what it's going to do in its masculine. And when the universe gives you the feminine so that you can act and it's your time to respond and not react, then you can take action in your masculine, knowing and seeing that this is what the universe is unfolding. And you become this beautiful partner with the universe, because the universe is both and. The universe is a three. God, source, whatever you want to call that one soul, is operating in this fullness of unity of masculine and feminine.
Right. And we can see that so easily. Everything in every relationship and everything that happens in our life is a mirror of these subconscious parts within ourselves, which is why both of us always are doing, like, we go to the depth of things. We do the shadow work. We have to understand what is the underlying current of all of that, because without that, we don't understand how the rebirth will happen. So it's that understanding and feeling and allowing all of it. It's this, that's where the rebirth happens within us as an awakening, but also the collective awakening that this gene key talks about as well, like with the old structure. And it's interesting because he talks about a lot of fire in this gene key. We just talked about it's an air sign, Aquarius is, but it's like we have to erase those reactions and burn the old structures to the ground, and discerning, because the gift here is conscious choice. So it's discerning. We don't have to burn all structures to the ground, but we have to be aware of what are we keeping and what are we not. So we have to go into that depth to make that discernment, really. Yeah. Hi, Lovely's jumping on. So is there anything else that we want to say about this? I know you're gonna have to go and get kids. And it's 1, 2, 3 here. So I think it's just, go time. As going back to, we are unlocking new paradigms here. So this is a beautiful time to take time today and tomorrow and for the weekend, obviously, so that you can come into this beautiful new time that we're in, but really ground yourself and trust yourself is always the key, because as we talked about, it's all about being in the unknown. That's where we grow. That's where we, change our expectations. So be really gentle with yourself, compassionate with yourself. The programming partner of this gene key is number 4, which is about forgiveness. So it's always, the program partners always pull in with each other. So be gentle with yourself as this is unfolding. And obviously join our course if you haven't yet, because we will go into this beautifully starting next week.
Where Cynthia was, it was 1, 2, 3. That's even more beautiful. Not more blessed, but just that 1, 2, 3 is like, it is go time for her, for all of us. No, but I think you brought up a point that really is really important, is this idea of forgiveness, because we cannot be reborn if we are holding on to the guilt and shame because we cannot forgive ourselves. And you and I have talked, and I've been posting this on my Torah Thoughts, is that the story of Exodus as a Jewish mystic, it started out with grief. It talked about grief, that in order to be free, Pharaoh is a great example of he was unable to grieve and he lost. He basically died because of it. The grief, that grief process. We're all familiar with Kubler-Ross's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance, right? The grief process. But even once we grieve, we are still not free, because what comes with it after that grief is anxiety, and how that anxiety stays with us because we're afraid of returning to that stuckness and that slavery. But then this idea, as we're studying now about the laws of Judaism, which are really connecting points, the focus has been on dignity and compassion. That the whole point of the law is to preserve our own dignity and our own compassion. And how much more do we need to preserve our own dignity? Right, the self-talk that I say about myself is embarrassing at times because I do not treat myself with dignity. The self-effacing talk, the negative self-talk. So the idea of freedom is, even with grief, even if we deal with anxiety, we have to remain in dignity and self-dignity and self-compassion. And the only way we get there is forgiveness. Because if we cannot forgive our past and we don't grieve it, we won't be reborn. We will continue to react. But that's the purpose of the revolution. The revolution within, the purpose is to get us to the place of we all have this choice. Forgive ourselves and let go, or just hold on to that guilt and shame. And that really, when it all comes down to it, that is the basic choice towards this freedom and liberation and this rebirth.
And it's about honoring those parts, because this is a part of what I like, the huge insights that I had just even last week, and opening up to, even if I felt that I have made the bigger choices that I've made, that was the hardest choices, and I wouldn't go back on that. But then I had this part of me that still felt guilty about me choosing me. And not that I regret choosing me, or not that I would ever say it was the best decision of my life, but there was a part, and that's kind of the understanding of ourself and in our debt, and something we'll talk about in the course. But it's about honoring all of those parts, so that part also, that to me just kind of helped. That forgiveness piece is not because we judge that we did something wrong. Forgiveness is about seeing all parts of us and having compassion for all parts of us, because there is going to be different parts. Even if we do one choice, it's still going to be, we have different parts within us.
Well, we have to recognize that sometimes the best choice for us may have a negative impact on somebody else. And we have compassion for that, but sovereignty has to kick in to say, and I am not responsible for everybody else's feelings. They are responsible for their feelings. And that's not to say I don't give a hoot about their feelings, but it's to say, if their feelings are struggling, even though I'm making this decision that is what's best for me and my needs, I can feel bad for the impact. And I can forgive myself to say, I still have to make this choice, because I'm not going to betray myself. I'm not going to sacrifice myself. I'm going to make this decision and be compassionate for myself, understand the hurt it might cause this person, because this relationship is no longer serving me. And I have to move on from it. I have to break up with this person because they're dragging me back and it's going against my value. All of that, right? I made a good decision, and I feel guilty because of the impact it had on this person. And they can live and work that out with their therapist, with their support network, and I can say, I feel bad. I'm sorry for the impact it had on you. And I'm here to bring closure and here to walk with you through those feelings. And I had to make this decision because it's what's best for me, because I am being reborn. And being reborn may mean there is death. There are relationships that have to die. And that's sad.
Right.
And it's okay to feel sad.
Yeah, and I was also going to say it's not because you said I will. You said about I'm here to walk with you through this. That's not always the case, obviously, too.
Right.
They get to, it's not always that we do that, and it's also in terms of family, because I know people that are watching and people in my group in general also have this with the family that we grew up in, and so it's a big, like, coming back to, I think that's where we started too, about that serenity, and we're not responsible for like, everyone has their journey to do, even our children, our young children, everyone has our own journey to do, and that's how we came here to evolve, when we all chose different things. So yeah. All right, so let's see here. We're not seeing any more comments, and I think we both are going to have to get going with our afternoon and kiddos. So we'll just say thank you and happy new moon. Again, it's exact tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. But the moon is already in Aquarius, so ground yourself, be with your heart, digest, allow the clarity to come when it wants to come, and dare to believe in yourself, believe in your dreams that are set on the next galaxy, your northern star. Pretty please, because it's all possible.
Happy new moon, everybody.
Yes, happy new moon. Okay. Mwah. Bye.
Bye.